An interview that he isn't motivated by titles and that he wants to, quote, be a great basketball player, not to be chasing some stuff that humans created in a ring or a gold ball. Shannon, are you surprised by what KD had to say?
Does KD know that humans created the game of basketball? Or he just thought that just immaculately happened like God, just like, poof, basketball appeared?
I do love basketball, so maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
It's easy for him to say that now because he has the titles. The titles put his mind at ease, Skip, because if he felt like that in the beginning, he would have never left OKC and went to Golden State. Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't have left OKC, but he wouldn't have gone and fast-tracked himself to getting titles. So it's easy for him to say now because guess what, Skip? He has that luxury of having those titles, having those finals MVP on his resume. So if he accomplishes nothing else in life, he has that. We'll never say Kevin Durant is the best player never to win a title. So it's easy to say that now, Skip. It's like, for me, I look at it like having money. It's easy to say, well, you know, I have enough. I'm not chasing a dollar now. It's easy to say that.
I've never heard anybody say that.
But, Skip, for me, is that when I was growing up and I didn't have money, you better believe, not only was I chasing, I was running full speed after it. But I got it now. I don't nearly look at money the same as I did before I had it. Kevin Durant doesn't look at it the same because he has those titles. What he found out, Skip, is that the titles did not give him the validation that he thought it would. Kevin Durant thought by winning the titles, everybody was going to regard him as universally the best player in the NBA, better than even LeBron James. But very few people were willing to go there. And then he's like, because he said it, if LeBron James is the GOAT, I beat the GOAT twice and hit the shots in his building, what does that make me? It wasn't about, well, I will be the best player. So I believe now, Skip, he's looking at it, says like, I got titles now. I can just focus on being the best player I can be. But the reason why people think you're the best player you can be, they didn't give you that validation first, KD, is because you had no titles. They go hand in hand. Michael Jordan might have been the best player, Skip, but he had no titles in the 80s. People couldn't put him in front of Bird and Jordan because he didn't have anything to show for it.
But they knew what was coming.
Yes. Yeah. And I just believe, Skip, if Kevin Durant always felt this way, I'm not saying that he wouldn't have left OKC. But it's hard for me to believe if you say you want to just develop as a player, it says I'm the best player, you go link up with a team that went 73-9. You link up with a team that went 67-15 the year before, with the greatest shooter that ever lived and a top 3, top 4 shooter to ever live. And you go there if you want to say, I'm the best. Normally the best want to prove they're the best. They go somewhere else. But that's not what he did. So I think it's revisionist history. I think it's easy for him to say that now, ex post facto, after he's won those titles.
Okay. I cannot disagree with any point you just made. But I still believe that Kevin Durant is the best player on this planet. And yet, when he speaks off the court, I'm to the point I try not to listen anymore because I can't figure any of it out. It baffles me. It mystifies me. It perplexes me. It drives me a little crazy trying to figure out anything he says or does off the court. I'm starting to call he and Kyrie the dubious duo because every time this is off the court, every time they speak, people are saying, what?
Yeah.
You what?
Right.
They both love to be contrarians. We talked about Kyrie and Schroeder earlier. We'll talk about him again here in a few minutes on the show with Chris Broussard. But Kevin's cut from the same cloth. They're soulmates because they like to question everything around them. Some of it seems way out there, some of it not so much. They're both high IQ to me, having been around Kevin the little that I have, but just observing closely Kyrie. They're high-level thinkers, even if you can't get there where they're trying to head with their thought. And why Kevin Durant, the best player on the planet, needs to stoop to a burner account or to some ridiculous, pathetic, petty feud that got completely out of hand with our man Michael Rappaport, I don't know. It's so beneath his dignity that is established, proven dignity in the National Basketball Association. And I will go to my grave saying, I had my doubts about Kevin Durant. When he left Oklahoma City, I knew why he did, because a source very close to him said he just decided he can't win a championship with Russell Westbrook as his primary decision maker. Russell's dribbling up the floor every time and deciding, my turn or your turn. And in Kevin's eyes, too many times it was my turn in Russell's view. So he joins forces with a team that they had down 3-1, as you know. And yet, if he'd gone there and been a third or fourth wheel, I'd said, ugh, Kevin, that's a bad look. But what did he do? He lived up to what you said Draymond needed him to be. You said Draymond fled into the parking lot that night after losing to LeBron, blowing their 3-1 lead, crying crocodile tears, calling up Kevin, you've got to come save us. You've got to save us. Well, he did. He stepped on the floor, and immediately he was the best player on the Golden State Warriors. And in back-to-back finals, he amazed me. He astounded me. He just took the finals over. And you can say, well, he had a lot more help than LeBron. Okay, but that help couldn't beat LeBron the year before when they blew the 3-1 lead. Kevin just took over a Game 3 in LeBron's house in back-to-back finals. And as we know, he made the shot of shots right in LeBron's grill to cinch the MVP in Game 3 the first time around. That's a lot of pressure he stood up to. That's the weight of the NBA world on your head and on your shoulders, and he stood up to it and rose above it. I give him huge credit for that. And even he was gone for what seemed like half of the first part of this season. Seemed like he was gone forever. What is it?
2 months. He missed 2 months.
Games? And all of a sudden he comes back, and the first game back, I'm watching, and he goes 19 minutes and scores 17 points. And then against your guys the other day on Saturday, I know they got blown out, but he played a grand total of 24 minutes. He scored 22 points. So combined in his first 2 games back, he's 13 of 22, 3 of 6 from 3, and 10 of 10 from the free throw line. It looked like he didn't miss a dribble. He's still that guy, and he's going to be that guy down the stretch for this team. But he lost me when he said, oh, my priority now is just to see how good I can be. What? I mean, it's the anti-Tom Brady. As you said the other day, the only reason you think that Tom Brady is playing is not to see how good he can be. It's to win an A3. It's period, end of story. He is obsessed with it. And Kevin's saying, I can't really control that, so I just got to see how good I can be. Well, to me, he's just speaking to speak. He knows it'll play well in that it'll get everybody's eyebrows rise. You know, it'll start to talk on the internet. He'll trend. What's he talking about? Well, here we are talking about it, and I think he and Kyrie love to be talked about. They love to be the curmudgeon sort of.
And then and get upset when you took me out of. No, Kyrie, we didn't take you out of context. You said you didn't need a coach. So what am I supposed? How is that out of context? We don't need a coach. We've played long enough. We're good enough players. We can coach ourselves. So how did I take you out of context? When Kevin Durant says something, we regurgitate what he said. How do we misquote you? You said it.
Okay, so they both have powerful platforms off the court, and they're both constantly questioning everything off the court, right? Kyrie sits back, is the earth flat or is it round? Or is there a secret society that controls the earth, the world right now? Who knows? And Kevin, he's constantly questioning everything. You guys out there, you reporters, you don't know what about basketball. You don't? It's the same ones who voted you the MVP.
He says there are too many factors outside of his control to win a championship.
That's what he said.
So you had no control in Golden State winning those 2 championships. So what was outside of that?
Okay. And then he said, winning a championship is not the be-all and the end-all that he thought it might be. It's not that big a deal. Do you think he really believes that, or was he just saying it?
He was just saying it.
I think he's just saying it.
Because, Skip, that's what, Skip, of all the places, normally, people like that, of Kevin Durant, arguably at the time, Skip, he was the second best player in the NBA. You don't go join an MVP, the only guy that's won that award unanimous. He's back-to-back. There's only 11 times that has happened a player has won back-to-back MVPs. Skip, you don't go join that. If you talk about I'm trying to be the best player I can be.
Okay, but I didn't have any problem with that because he was 10 years in the league with no ring.
Skip, I don't have a problem with it either. But don't try to make it seem like you weren't ring chasing, and you know that gave you the best opportunity. Skip, granted, they lost up after being up 3-1, but